In Dim Lights, short story by JameliaAlicia. She wore a sash once, satin cutting across her ribs like a promise that never learned her name. Contestant. That was what they called her. Not girl, not woman, not voice. Just a shape walking under lights and became woman, which people often ignored. On stage, she smiled, because smiling was easier than existing. The judge's eyes slid past her, landing on louder laughter, sharper cheekbones, confidence practiced in mirrors that loved them back. When they spoke to her, it was with a softness that felt like dismissal, sweet, simple, pretty enough, as if beauty were a charity and she should be grateful for scraps. Her name went by Daniella. She wasn't happy because beneath the makeup, tears stung harder than truth right in front of her. Off the stage, men felt bolder. They called her weak when she spoke quietly. They laughed when she hesitated, mistaking gentleness for emptiness. Their words stacked up like chairs blocking a doorway, too small, too shy, forgettable. Eventually, she learned to walk around herself, learning to walk through the secret conversations, mean glares, exclusion, and disregard of her beauty. This made her stronger and led her to see her own beauty within herself. She began looking down when she spoke to people, at shoes, at cracks in pavements, at the safe space where no one could measure her worth. Looking up felt dangerous. Looking up invited comparison. Looking up reminded her that others took up space without apology. In mirrors, she practiced disappearing. She made her voice thinner, her shoulders folded inward. She learned the art of not interrupting, not correcting, not needing. Existing became something she did quietly, so no one could accuse her of trying too hard. And yet, there were moments. When the room was empty, when the lights were off, when she stood barefoot on cold floors and felt her weight press back into the world. In those moments, she wondered if invisibility was something done to her, or something she had learned to wear for protection. She didn't know how to look up yet, but sometimes, just sometimes, she lifted her chin alone and felt the air meet her face like recognition. She learned to practice courage without the guidance of others, and often saw women who people acknowledged their beauty. Daniella wanted to list all the questions to why people did not take notice of her. She learned to dismiss this feeling of rejection with knowing she was not invisible, she was present. It wasn't confidence, it wasn't power, but it was proof she was still there in a room full of women, that beauty was not singular but came in multiple shapes and sizes, that her beauty was special and meant something to herself before the world. This was important in self-love. It is not about people loving you first, it's about putting yourself at the front of everything, knowing your values and worth. Not because the world changed, because she did. She began to understand that her beauty had never been the problem. Beauty had simply been the mask people placed over her, so they wouldn't have to look deeper. They had wanted her polished, pleasing, easy to consume. They had wanted her quiet enough to decorate the room without ever challenging it, and she had mistaken that for worth. One day, during an interview, a man leaned back in his chair and smirked. "So," he said, "what do you really have to offer besides looks?" The old version of her would have smiled, would have laughed lightly, would have tried to prove she was harmless. But now she paused. She let the question hang there exposed for what it was. Then she answered calmly, her voice steady as stone. "I have a mind. I have a story. I have discipline, intelligence, and depth. My beauty is the least interesting thing about me." The room went quiet, not uncomfortable, reverent. In that silence, she felt something bloom, something she had never been handed on a stage or written on a scorecard. Respect. Not because she demanded it, because she embodied it. Later, alone, she sat by a window watching the city lights flicker like distant applause. She thought of all the years she spent believing she was invisible, when really she had been surrounded by people who only knew how to see surfaces. She placed a hand over her chest, feeling her heartbeat like a soft drum. "I am here," she whispered, "not for anyone else, for herself." And for the first time, the words did not feel like a plea. They felt like a declaration of oath to her old self and the confirmation of new willpower to see her flaws as strength than a burden on herself and others. In depths of it all, she saw answers. And answers was yes, I'm loved. Yes, I'm beautiful.